Hi friends, Laurelei Black here from Blade Broom, and this week we're going to be talking about a type of divination system that you can adapt for yourself. The general name for it is witches' runes, and the system that I'm going to be showing you, or the specific set of runes that I'm going to be showing you, is a set that I used to sell in my shop. The ones that I'm showing you, you can still get a BOS page from my shop, a Book of Shadows page that you can still buy, and you can still make this exact set for yourself if you wanted to. Or I'm going to be talking about some ways that you might adapt it and develop your own set of witches' runes, which you might find even more useful for you and your practice. So let's get into that. This is the Book of Shadows page that's still available for the runes. And I'm going to go through this a little bit with you today, but like I said, you can make your own set of runes, runic symbols, based on the symbols that you personally find the most meaningful. These 26 symbols are painted onto 13 wooden tiles, and I hand painted these myself, and some of them, you'll have to forgive my artistic abilities because with hand painting, I'm not necessarily the greatest at hand painting, which is one of the reasons that I honestly don't offer them in the shop anymore, because I find that offering the information is something that's a little bit more within my particular skill set, but as an artisan, I'm not that great as a maker as I am as an information giver. But these are very meaningful and personal to me. This is actually one of the last sets that I made up, and I hadn't reddened them yet because I actually find that it's more personal and empowering to redden them for oneself. That reddening process, you'll find that a lot of runic devices have red paint on them, but that red paint actually harkens back to blooding your runes. So that's something that was a process of giving power, giving life to your runes. So it's not necessarily a matter of painting them with red paint, but of actually putting a drop of blood onto the runes, onto each of the runes, to actually give them that life and that power. So these are not painted red yet because these have not gone through that process of actually feeding them or empowering them. So they're still white painted. They don't have to be square, they don't have to be anything in particular. They could be on round tiles, they could be on clay, modeling clay or pottery clay, or shards of pottery or seashells, or whatever it is that makes sense to you or that feels right to you. This is just the material that I had and that was consistent for me to sell in the shop at the time that I was selling these. So, as far as that goes, do what makes sense to you. This is your craft and this is your practice. I offer these symbols to you because this is what made sense for me and my partner at the time that we were making these available for use in the shop. So I'd like to go through these quickly with you to just sort of give you an idea of what kinds of symbols we were using. And I will actually pull these up onto individual tiles so that you can see these all work in pairs and they have sort of opposite meanings. So just moving down the list, we've got them paired off in some really intuitive ways. I have symbols here that represent the place of fertility and life and new beginnings, and also the other end of the spectrum with death and changing and endings. Again, you might choose symbols that look a little bit different to you for this. We've got these teardrop symbols, but that could also be blood drop symbols that represent sacrifice and a bit of loss and pain. And then on the other side of that, we have a symbol which is the witch's stang that represents increase and joy. We've got symbols that represent the generative masculine element and the generative feminine element. And we went right for the gusto on that. So it's the vulva and the penis specifically. But again, you might choose symbols that were something else entirely. We have the hand and the eye as opposing symbols. And we know that we often see these in harmony, actually. These work, we see these in for instance, in the Hamza hands in Middle Eastern culture, and hands and eyes are often seen in Mediterranean and in other folkloric cultures. But this is the opening and the seeing and the visions in the eye, and the warding and the protection of the hand, because often when you're in that opening and seeing place, you also need that warding and that protection of the hand. So we have these at sort of opposite ends of the spectrum, but they often work together. And then with the lightning and the star, this is the aster, that is the star, asteria, and then disaster, the falling apart, the tower card. If this were tarot, you know, that's part of what that would represent, that shattering illumination in the night. The moon and sun, of course, represent the night and the day, the lunar cycle and the solar cycle, the goddess and the god, all of those types of archetypes. We have the alchemical symbol for the earth in the cross with the circle around it. So that represents land, everything that's the middle. So middle times, reality, growth, the earth itself as a place, you know, the planet Earth, and grounding. And then we have that opposed to the sky, the upper realms, dreams, goals, air, thoughts, knowledge, everything that is airy and upper. And then continuing with that elemental theme, we've got flames and the fire, the source of life, creation, passion, will. And then its opposite, of course, is the sea, the lower realm, intuition, water, emotions, all of those third realm energies. We have the home representing, or the house representing, the hearth and home and domesticity and family. And then its opposite is flight and travel and adventure, being as free as a bird. And then we have these two circular symbols, one representing union and love and relationship and marriage, and really that unity, that being together. And then the other one representing ideas of distance and separation, division, dissolution, dislocation. This symbol in particular will be very familiar to folks within Wiccan traditions. And perhaps some ceremonial traditions, these S's. So no, it's not a dollar sign. Actually, this is the scourge. This is severity. It is also strength. So this is that scourge, that flail. And then on the other side, we have the salute, mercy and softness. So this is the difference between severity and mercy. Our 12th set of symbols are the spiral and the crossroads. So on the one side we have that working in, or possibly working back out, but it's that circular set of symbols. It's that winding in, that winding back out of the labyrinth, that inward and outward journey of rebirth, that undeniability of fate. And then with the crossroads, we have choice and that outward movement. And finally, in our 13th sets of symbols, we've got With the triquetra, we've got accord or peace, harmony, and its opposite of strife or chaos. And as you were doing a reading for yourself, there are actually a few different ways that you might work with these symbol sets. So you might draw one out of a bag. I keep mine in a pouch like this, and it's just a little zippered, it's actually a jewelry pouch. But you know, you might make a different type of pouch for yourself, or you might, so you might pull one just to get a quick read of the situation. And whatever side is facing you when you pull it out, that might be, you know, your quick answer. Or you might pull a few and toss them and see what information you get. Or you might cast them into a circle, or you might use them in conjunction with the stone bowl and toss them into a device like this, which is actually a tool, another tool that I've helped to develop within my own witchcraft tradition, which we have another video about here on the channel. And these symbols have specific meanings. They're actually related to elemental quarters, and so you might use symbols that you have associated with the quarters to be able to then further interpret what kind of messages you're getting. So for instance, in the reading that you were doing for yourself, if you got the moon and peace in the sign of Earth, that might give you particular information about perhaps the timing of when your question would come to peaceful resolution, perhaps within a particular moon phase, within an upcoming Earth sign. Like we're approaching Capricorn, so maybe you know, by the full moon in Capricorn, for instance, you could expect a peaceful resolution to your answer. As an example, you could draw one every day and meditate on the symbol that you've gotten. You could use it as a daily meditational practice or a daily divination practice to see what the day might have in store for you, or to reflect upon what the day has been like, and to see what the overarching lesson or message has been for that day. They are a great divinatory tool in general, just to see what the underlying roots of a problem might be. Like the stone bowl, which we've talked about before, they are a great adjunct for spell work, including using them to help power a spell, or to see what kind of cost might be associated with a spell. And they can be used in combination with the stone bowl as a divination tool, as I was demonstrating earlier. I hope that was interesting and useful, and I hope it gave you some ideas for adapting your own runic oracle for you as a witch and a practitioner. Certainly, I know that you probably have your own symbols that you might be using for this type of work. I know that when I looked into witches' runes and I saw a couple of systems that had already been developed, my partner and I at the time did not find the ones that were already out there to resonate with us, which is why we developed our own. And we made it available to share, and a few people have found that to be useful, which is why I share it with you now. But I am definitely of the opinion that not everybody's magic works for everybody else, so feel free to take what we did and make it even more adaptable for you. You can go onto Etsy or onto Amazon and find the kinds of tiles that we used, and I will link some good options for you down below. They're pretty inexpensive, so you can make your own set. It just takes some craft paint and some paint pens to put on the designs, and you're off to the races. So let me know how the system works out for you and how you fare in developing your own. And I look forward to hearing from you. Drop some comments below, and I will see you guys again next Monday at noon. And I'll try not to be late again. Thanks for your patience. I will see you guys very soon. Bye, friends.